Hello everybody. Our today's topic is child as a problem solver and as a scientific investigator. The chapter at hand, child as a problem solver and as a scientific investigator, describes the way a child uses its wits to solve problems in a scientific way. The chapter presents the methods and manners in which children carry out an investigation. In previous year exams, there was one question in 2011, 12, 13 and 15, while there were two questions each in 14 and 16 has been asked from this topic. So let us begin. Problem solving. Problem solving means arriving at solution of tasks or situations that are complex, ambiguous, with difficulties or obstacles of some kind. Problem solving is needed, for instance, when a doctor analyzes a lung x-ray. Evaluation of and analysis of the picture of lungs acquire skill, experience and resourcefulness to decide which obscure looking blobs to ignore and which to interpret as real structure. Problem solving is also needed when a store manager has to decide how to improve the sale of a product. Should say place it lower or publicize in it more thought advertisement. According to Stanley Gray, problem solving is that attribute which encompasses rational thinking. Most often, when two children take their problem to an adult to solve it for them, or the adult steps in without invitation, the adult has assumed ownership of the problem. When the adult makes an independent judgment, it usually results in a win-loss situation. One child gets what it wants and other doesn't. However, by guiding children through a series of problem-solving steps, the adult can teach students how to solve their own problem and make better decisions so that it changes into a win-win situation for both children. There are many levels of problem solving. Some problems are easy and can be solved without much difficulty. There are three elements of problem solving, that is problem, target, step towards target. The three main processes that are used mainly in solving, such as step-based problem solving method, algorithm method, that is the process of set of rules used in solving the problem, or heuristic method, learning by oneself to solve the problem when a problematic situation is raised. Now, what is problem solving? Problem solving is a teaching strategy that employs the scientific method in searching for information. Problem solving arriving at decision based prior knowledge and reasoning. If we will talk about the definitions, a systematic approach to define the problems and creating a vast number of possible situations without judging this solution. Problem solving is a cognitive processing directed at achieving a goal where no solution method is obvious to the problem solver. Yoakum and Simpson defined it as a problem occurs in a situation in which a felt difficulty to act is realized. It is a difficult to clearly present and recognize by thinker. According to Gates, a problem exists for an individual when he has a definite goal he cannot reach by the behavior pattern which are already has available. According to Skinner, problem solving is a process of overcoming difficulties that appears to interfere. In a problem solving, the entire subject matter is organized in such a manner that it can be dealt with through the problems identified during the study. Now, let us learn the Skinner's theory. The problem solving is the process of overcoming difficulties that appears to interfere with the attainment of goal. It is a procedure of making adjustment in spite of interferences. What is the purpose? Purpose: train the students in the act of reasoning, gain and improve the knowledge, solve puzzling questions, overcome the obstacle in the attainment of objectives. Now, steps of problem solving. So, first, steps to be followed in problem solving. Step 1: identify. Identify or define the problematic situation. Next, step 2: think of all the possible alternative situations. Step 3: check the viability of the alternatives. Step 4: decision making concerning the most suitable alternative. Step 5: application of the decided alternative. Number 6: feedback of the decided alternative. Feedback and follow up after the application of the decision. Step 7: rectification and repair work. Next is types of problems. There are maybe many types of problems, but on the basis of merit of the problems here classified broadly into two types. Ill-structured problem. A problem is said to be ill-structured when one cannot judge the nature of the problem, cannot be able to reach its possible solution, or cannot even exactly define it. Well-structured problem. A problem is said to be well-structured when all aspects of the problems are clearly visible and solver can judge them well. Next is type strategy to be adopted during the classroom for problem solving. So, first is various strategies can be adopted by teachers during teaching class for problem solving. So, as they are: analyze the problem or formation and appreciation of problem. The nature of the problem should be made very clear to the students so that they can understand the actual solution for the problem. So the first take at hand to analyze the problem, try to figure out what is the problem and how it can be solved, what could be the possible methods and how relevant these can be in connection with the problem started. The best way to analyzing the problem is to break into two parts and then analyze the parts one by one and know what the problem is about. Next is collection of relevant data and information. The students should be stimulated to collect data in a systematic manner. Full cooperation of the students should be secured. The teacher may suggest many points to them, like extra book for read or organize a few educational trips to gather the relevant information. Working backward for the final situation, when the problem is discrete in nature and clearly mentioned, then to solve these problems many have another way, which is directed and backward direction. It means that one has to go with the solution and unlock the previous step that have been used to reach the solution. Next is analogical thinking. Sometimes problems can be solved using analogical thinking. This method works well when the problem is similar to another problem that occurred in the past. One has to use the methods analogically to solve the existing problem in manner similar to the previous one. This method needs prior experience to solving problems. Child as a problem solver. Both young ones and adults have to face many problems in their lives. As a student, a child encounters many problems and he must know how to deal with the problems. A teacher must instill those values into him so that he can solve the problems with his own learning, perception and ability. Traits to be developed in the child as a problem solver. traits to be developed in a child as a problem solver are: by developing traits of self-recognition in children, by enabling children to accept demerits and remove them, by encouraging the children to be self-dependent, by developing thoughts and rationality in the children, by developing language in the children, by making them try multiple times to find a solution, by rewarding them when they solve problems, by developing language skills in them. Next is organization of data. The student should be asked to sift the relevant material from the superficial one put in scientific way. Drawing of conclusion. After the organizing data, discussions should be arranged collectively and individual with each student so that essential thing is done by the students themselves and that their educative process provides the particular solutions. Care should be taken that judgment is made only when sufficient data is collected. Next, child as testing conclusion. No conclusion should be accepted without being properly verified. The corrections of the conclusion must be proved. Problem solving skills. So traits that child as a scientific investigator. Science is all about reason, rationality and realism. There is nothing fictitious about it. A scientific investigator needs to be rationally sound. So if we see a child as a scientific investigator, then it is required that he must be able to use his reasoning and logic. Traits that need to be developed to make a child a scientific investigator. Curiosity is a fundamental human trait. By valuing this natural impulse to learn, the inquiry process can give children direct feedback and the personal experiences they need to shape new and enduring views of the world. A spirit inquiry can make a difference in the way children acquire and understand scientific concepts. From an early age, students puzzle over phenomena of nature. They encounter and ask many questions about them, whether asked verbally or in actions. These questions indicate curiosity and intense desire to know or to find out. Curiosity is thus a fundamental human trait. There is a first sign, the aerosol of scientific investigation in student. The traits that need to be developed for scientific investigations are: persistence. Persistence, the necessary characteristics encompasses traits such as dogged perseverance, patience, tenacity, thoroughness, and singleness of purpose. For scientific success, persistence must be continued beyond research and through to publication. Curiosity, the desire to know more and inquisitiveness that is not satisfied with shallow explanation is the key of scientific progress. Self-motivation is rare in most students. Single-minded drive undoubtedly increases effort. Self-motivated students can produce better results than those students who have lost their internal drive. Focus. Focus is the ability to spot the crux among details and then stay concentrated on it. Focus assures that the target receives all the attention needed. Lack of focus is evidenced by tendencies towards incompleteness, inefficiency, overlooked significant details, and panic reaction to setbacks. Next is imagination. Imagination is necessary for insight and even for the everyday problem solving. That is intrinsic to most students. Almost all students are unusually imaginative. When imagination is combined with both will and a vision of what is achievable, the results are good. Desire to improve. Desire to improve could be an important stimulus to scientific insight because it leads to trial of a variety of different behaviors like curiosity, dissatisfaction. Certainly is a stimulus to scientific progress. Self-confidence. Self-confidence fosters a willingness to face challenges and a constructive optimism, relatively free to worries of others and about whether the problem can be solved. Both self-motivation and self-confidence are needed if the students want to lead a scientific discipline into new productive directions. Rather than just following the majority, self-confidence inspires acceptance of one's opinion by others, in spite of the claims that they are influenced only by the evidence, not by the presentation. So clarify what the problem is about. Next, brainstorm out ideas, plan out what you are going to do. Next, try out your plan. Yes. Does it solve the problem? No. Try another plan. So, this is the way. Next, essential feature of the problem. The problem should be meaningful, interesting, and worthwhile for children. It should have some correlation with life. It should have some correlation with other subject if possible. It should arise out of the real needs of the students. The problem should be clearly defined. The solution of problem should be found out by the students themselves, working under the guidance and supervision of the teacher. So major approaches in the problem solving that are inductive and deductive approach. Inductive approach, first particular cases are dealt with and then definitions, principle and rules are derived from them. And first general definition, principles and rules are stated, the particular cases are taken to prove them. It leads to new knowledge. It does not lead to new knowledge. Inductive, it is the method of discovery, but deductive, it is the method of verification and explanation. In inductive method, the child acquires first-hand information and knowledge by actual observation, but in deductive method, the child gets ready-made information acquired by others. In inductive method, the method is rather slow, but deductive is comparatively quick. Inductive method provides training to child and develops self-confidence and initiative. Deductive method is based on borrowing from others. Inductive method, it is an upward process of thought, but deductive method, it is downward process of thought and leads to more comprehension. Inductive method is full of activity, but deductive method is a less scope for activity. Teachers' role in problem solving. The students to define problem clearly got them to make many suggestions by encouraging them to analyze the situation in parts, to recall previously known similar cases and general rules that apply, to guess courageously and formulate guesses clearly. Get them to evaluate each suggestion carefully by encouraging them to maintain a state of doubt or suspended conclusion, to criticize the suggestion by appeal to know facts, minister and experiment. Get them to organize the material by proceeding to build an outline on the board, to use diagrams and graphs to formulate concise statement of the net outcome of discussion. A teacher who has the ability to see problems clearly, the power of analyze with a keen observation and the faculty to synthesize and draw conclusion with an uncanny accuracy. Uses of problem solving in nursing. Develop ability to analyze the problem and to take proper judgment solution in the critical condition that encountered in the clinical setting. Problem solving method also helps the students to solve this problem in real life situation without much stress. It helps the student to solve the similar problem in future with confidence. It develops critical thinking to people. In case the class group, it will develop mutual understanding among the group members. It helps the caregiver or nurse to develop a skill to help the potential develop ability to nurse to select the problem solving strategy according to potential abilities and lifestyle. So that's all about the problem solving skill and child as a scientific investigator. I hope you understood this topic. If you understood this topic, please give a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thanks for learning. Thanks for watching.